Woo! Hi, guys. Let's get started. You know what I see all over this audience? Just all over this place, including that guy with a very colorful shirt right here. I see FOMO. I see it. I see it over all of you. And you know what? I get it. I feel it too. You're out here trying to build a startup, trying to build a company, and the AI revolution is happening all around you. And I mean, everyone's been talking about it this entire conference. All the keynotes have been talking about this. And it's like, if you're anything like me, you're on LinkedIn, your girlfriend's on Twitter, and they're just feeling this pressure. You're seeing posts like this, and this, and this. It's like, I have 47 agents running in the background, making tens of millions of dollars while I'm sleeping. It's overwhelming. Well, I'm here to liberate you from this mind prison of LinkedIn FOMO. This LinkedIn FOMO that's making you choose to spend part of your one precious life listening to my speech at this software conference. I'm Varun, one of the co-founders of Clay, and I spend my days thinking about the toughest problems in go-to-market and how to build the tools and systems to help solve them. So let's discuss the laws that govern GTM, what I'll call here the physics of GTM. So it's really exciting when you find a growth idea that works, because you get prospects, you grow. Now there's AI, which helps everything go faster. Now some people think that AI can do everything for you, the way it's doing that in coding and support. But the difference is you're not on a one-man field. In GTM, you're competing against someone else. Usually you're competing against lots of people. Because there isn't an objective answer on how to win this race. It depends on how customers think and feel about you and your human connection to your outreach. This race is subjective. It's like romance and dating. And if you know anything about dating or romance, you know you can't apply a robotic approach to it. Because otherwise, you'll go on 63 first dates and you'll still be single. By the way, this is Yash. He's actually right there in the audience. And I did get his consent before blasting him in front of this crowd. So if you want to win, what you need to do is you need to start with uniqueness, which is the first law of go-to-market physics. You need to find your unique advantage, because you win when you know something about your customers that no one else does. You need to stand out. What you don't want to do is what we call commodity targeting, which is sending generic messages at generic times. It's kind of like we just raised our Series C last month, and I was deluged by emails like, congrats on your funding. What you need are distinctive data points on like who your ICP is and when they actually have a burning need for your product. So do you want an example of one of these? Let's talk about cookies. So I'm a bit of a cookie aficionado. I'm a big cookie fan myself. And I even had a little cookie business back in the day. And what would be a data signal for me? Well, let's just say I had this cookie business in New York. A data signal for me in this cookie business would be when private equity came in and bought Levain cookies. Why is that a signal? It's a signal that those cookies are about to get really bad. And let me tell you from firsthand experience, those cookies are really dry. In fact, at Clay, I've set a new mandate that no one can buy Levain cookies. And so that's a signal that I need to overrun the New York City cookie market. And each time you refine your targeting to beat your competitors with something like this, you're obeying that first law. You're finding a unique advantage. And we like to call that go-to-market alpha. In finance, that's where this word comes from. Alpha means like you're beating your market benchmarks because you know something other investors don't know. And so in go-to-market, you can do the same thing when you have that edge over a competitor, when you know something about your customers that your competitors don't know. And then you want to play on it, which is great. You want to play on it, it works, it grows, and you want to give it more and more reach. That's great, but then bam, you hit the second law of go-to-market physics, which is that no creative advantage is going to last forever. Because as you scale up a strategy, other people will copy it, and then it will stop working. The benefits will start diminishing. You're going to hit an asymptote just like you do in physics. So if you want to stay ahead, you're going to have to iterate and do something new. You can see here in this graph, as you come up with new experiments, people will keep copying you. Because the louder you shout, the louder other people shout, and then the baseline for what works will quickly start shifting. What are some examples of this? It's kind of like when you spawn a bunch of copycats and lookalikes, like our friend Timothy Chalamet. Or maybe you reach all the customers you could have hoped to reach with that strategy. Maybe you met your customers' previous needs, but now their needs have changed. In any event, what you realize is you need to stay iterating. You need to keep experimenting, because that's the third law of physics. Iteration speed determines who wins. And you need to set up processes and systems and tools to help you come up with alpha over and over again. Because there's just no substitute for the continuous learning and experimentation that you need to do in pursuit of a market edge. So what does AI do with all of this? Well, it does two things. The first thing it does is it actually increases the baseline for success. Because now when everyone has AI tools, personalizing lines based off employee count or headcount or something, that's just table stakes. So being truly unique, that means going beyond what AI makes easy for everyone else. The second thing it does is it actually makes everything faster. It takes these graphs and compresses them, because new tactics just won't last as long, and so your competitive advantage is going to erode faster and faster as the market gets saturated. So who embodies all of these tactics, these philosophies, better than anyone else? You guessed it, Taylor Swift. How does Taylor embody this? Well, remember the first law. You need to find your unique advantage. You need to understand your customer better than anyone else. And Taylor, I would argue, understands her fan base better than any superstar understands theirs. I mean, just look at this, right? You can see that she has Easter eggs hidden all over her songs and her social posts. She includes friendship bracelets in her concert. In her Eras tour, she has unique songs that she brings in just to make each concert feel really special. But even Taylor knows that no creative advantage is going to last forever. You're going to hit a wall, which is why she's constantly reinventing herself. I mean, she's gone from country to pop to folk, back to pop. And look at how she releases her albums. Maybe it's on Travis Kelce's podcast, maybe it's on award shows, maybe it's in clothes, maybe it's in social posts. She's always keeping it fresh. And she does this because she knows the third law, that iteration speed is what determines who really wins in the market. And just look at how prolific she's been. Most artists do like one album every 4 years. Taylor's doing an album a year at least. So who's the Taylor Swift of go-to-market? It's this sweet man, Robert Jones, and his dog. Now, Robert is the head of go-to-market AI at Canva, one of our customers. And Canva is a $40 billion design company. Now, one of their products helps you keep your brand consistent across lots of different social channels. They use Clay for social listening to track LinkedIn posts and Twitter posts, and then they analyze those posts with AI to determine if they were actually on brand or not. So what does that mean? Is the font correct? Is the spacing right? Is the coloring off? All these types of things. And if it's off brand, they go reach out to the head of design through Clay. They find someone who actually has that problem, right? And then they actually are like, hey, you just posted this on Twitter the other day. It's clearly not meeting your brand guidelines. Here's how. And here's how we can help. They're not checking if they have a problem. They're actually there with a solution. And that's what makes this really powerful. And that's what go-to-market alpha looks like. And they'll keep using this tactic while it lasts, while asking the next set of questions to chase alpha again the next time. What's another example? Let's talk about this logistics staffing company that serves warehouses of a very specific size. So the problem is that there isn't really a good data source for warehouses. And so they had to ask the question, like, how can they get creative? How can they use AI to answer something they didn't have the answer to before? Well, it turns out that they can use Clay to find all the warehouse locations using Google Maps, pull up the satellite images, and actually use AI to analyze those. And then they actually count the number of parking spots around the warehouses and the cars within them. And it turns out that that's actually the best predictor for headcount size and warehouse size than anything else. And again, this all started with asking the right question and being really creative about how to find the right answer. And even as their competitors catch up with them on using this idea, they'll be on to the next ones. OK, last example. This is Jordan, one of our Clay agency partners. And he works with a company that sells into medical practices. And if you know anything about medical practices, you know that they're overwhelmed. You know they've got lots of things happening with billing and patients and insurance companies. And it turns out there's even more. Every 90 days, insurance companies actually have to publish every provider and payment code that they've changed. So what's a medical practice supposed to do with this? Are they going to read all these changes and figure out how it applies to their business every 90 days? It's overwhelming. So Jordan had an idea. Jordan said, what if I could use AI to analyze all of these changes, determine how they actually impact a medical practice, and then they reach out to them that morning of the changes and say, hey, here's how it impacts your business, here's all the procedures you're going to have to change, and by the way, here's a letter to Blue Cross Blue Shield that you can send before it even hits your bottom line. That's what great go-to-market looks like. It's confident, it's creative, it's quick, and it's timely. Remember, he's coming to them with a solution, not just a problem. So what's the common denominator amongst these businesses? None of them were satisfied with defining their market generically. And it all worked because they knew what question to ask. And when go-to-market physics kicked in and the potency of answering that question eroded, they built a system to ask the next question and the next question. So how do you do this? What questions should you be asking? How do you become the Taylor Swift of go-to-market? Well, the number one question that you can ask is this one. What do I know about my best customers that no one else does? That is going to be your best predictor for go-to-market success than anything else. And it's okay if you don't know the answer, because we're going to help you figure that out together. What you want to do is you want to start with the questions where you do know the answer. And then you build a workflow around that insight, and then you take systems to scale that insight. So we're going to do a little exercise together, and we're going to take that first question, right? What do I know about my best customers that no one else does? And I'm going to ask you a set of other questions that'll help you answer that. So let's get started. What is your best sales rep doing? Just think about this for a second. What customers keep wanting to expand? Where are your prospects having conversations? Is it in Slack communities, on LinkedIn feeds, on Reddit threads? And what is the common thread in the issues that come up in your support queue? The answers to all of these questions are the starting point of your go-to-market alpha. And some of the answers you might not know, but they are out there. They're just scattered across your company. We like to call those hidden signals. And they're golden when you find them. What's an example of one of these? Let's start with Indian restaurants with 3-star reviews. Now, I love Indian restaurants. I go many times a week, actually. If we were at the keynote this morning with Yamini, we know her favorite in San Francisco is Copra. I don't think that's a 3-star Indian restaurant. But my hidden signal, I'm sure you guys have all seen this, Indian restaurants with 3-star reviews focusing on bad service, right? But all of us know when we go to these restaurants, they're usually filled with Indian people because those people know that the staff doesn't have time to be nice to you because they're making the best butter chicken and gulab jamun of your life. That's a hidden signal in my life. I'll give you another one. Look at the person next to you. Are they playing online chess on their phone? Maybe that's a signal that my speech really is that boring, but I'm going to hope to impress them with the rest of this. So hidden signals give you unique data when customers feel seen, their needs are met, and the timing is right. And what you want to do is you want to build workflows that can take that data and build it into a repeatable system. So what tool could you use to help you with this? Don't worry, this isn't a sales pitch. But what I will tell you is there are a couple of philosophical choices that you can make on how you can automate your own go-to-market. So let's start with this one. AI can automate everything for you. Now, this is what you'll hear from lots of AI SDR companies, with a promise that they can actually automate the entire life cycle of an SDR for you. Now, it sounds compelling, but the truth is that we actually haven't seen it work. We haven't seen the technology actually work. And the other trade-off with an approach like this is that it's going to be a black box. It's not going to let you have your creativity and your flexibility and apply that to your business so it feels like authentic outreach. Your other choice is to have AI incrementally improve every rep. Now, this is what a lot of companies are doing by arming their reps with GTM co-pilots. And this can be really helpful, but there are a couple of trade-offs. I mean, first, it's obviously an incremental benefit, so it might not be what it takes to win. But the second thing is you're going to have to go train all these people, which is a huge lift. So this can work, but we find that it works even better when you pair it with choice number 3, which is building better workflows and systematizing them. Building systems to auto-detect and act on those moments when your customer actually has the biggest need for what you're selling. And what you can do is take all the manual research and manual work from your sales team and centralize it into one ops team and have them do the work of many. And if you do this, it won't just make all your reps a little better, it'll actually help your very best reps excel. Because what it enables your best reps to do is not just automate the stuff they were doing before, but helps them do stuff that they never could do before. So for example, at Clay, our reps who aren't doing this, they're able to have time to do vibe coding with vibe coding personalized apps to customers. That's pretty special. And your best reps' work is actually going to lift everyone up, because now their ideas won't get trapped into a silo. You can take those creative ideas and scale it across your entire organization. So who can help you with this? We like to call them GTM engineers. They build revenue engines using AI and automation, and the role has just exploded since we coined it 2 years ago. More than 100 job postings go live every single month for the role. So how do you structure your go-to-market organization around these new tools? It doesn't matter how big and small you are. It's just the fact that today, a traditional approach is not going to quite work the way it used to. So if you look here, this approach kind of looks more like an assembly line. You have SDRs who are prospecting, AEs who are closing deals, and RevOps who are managing systems. Now, the issue with an assembly-like approach is that it leads to standardization. And with standardization, it's harder to share insights and scale learnings. And without sharing your learnings, your competitive advantage is bound to erode. This would have been especially harmful for that example that we shared earlier with Canva, which came from a rep. And so that rep would have gotten promoted, and then that idea would have never been scaled to thousands of potential customers. So what do we recommend instead? We recommend this approach with go-to-market engineers actually at the center, working closely with sales and marketing, and they're testing ideas, building systems, and taking the work of many and making everyone else way more effective. That's how you incorporate creativity and adaptability into your organization. Now, GTMs, you can structure this in different ways. We recommend treating it like a product, how you'd run your product org, having a PM, having GTM engineers, maybe even having a software engineer, and empowering them not only to buy software, but to maybe even build their own. And then they're constantly testing and iterating, seeing what tactics work, seeing what doesn't, doubling down on the plays that do work, and then scaling those. But there's a spectrum here. You don't have to jump to the end. Let's show you how this works at Clay, which is probably on the more sophisticated end of this approach. At Clay, we kind of have that structure, and they're building a system, an always-on engine that's constantly looking at data, ingesting data, and taking in things like Slack calls and Gong calls and Snowflake data and website intent, and bringing that in and producing signal reports and retention campaigns, personalized outbound ads and landing pages, kind of creating an always-on engine that's trying to help find the prospect where they actually have a burning need for our product. And this approach helps our salespeople not do manual work and just instead focus on high-value conversations with qualified prospects. What's another example of this? Let's take a look at OpenAI. Obviously one of the fastest-growing companies in the world. They've actually built their own go-to-market innovation team, kind of taking a lot of these principles and bringing it there. And they've actually used ChatGPT models in Clay to surface insights, scale their research, and save reps a lot of time so they can focus on selling, and the growth team isn't blocked by creative ideas and can keep experimenting. But what if you're just a small company? What if you're just 3 people in an apartment working on an agency or a startup? The truth is that you can also do this. One person can do this work too. What you just need is this mindset of experimentation that we can give you. And you can wear that hat whether you're the founder, whether you're a marketer, whether you're the first salesperson. But you don't need to do it alone. If you need help, there are Clay agencies that can help you. Now, these are people who love using these tools and have expertise in customizing them to help you automate your outbound workflows at scale. And it turns out that there is a lot of demand for them. Many of them have actually scaled to millions and millions of revenue just in their first year. So why does all this matter? It's because you grow. You find more customers, you grow your revenue. No more relying on individual reps doing their own research and outreach. And instead, you have technical people who are building always-on systems and engines that are helping you grow. And one person with the right approach can make 50 reps way more effective. So I've made my argument here for what the future of go-to-market needs to look like. And I believe passionately in this future. It's a lot of why we built Clay in the first place. And it's a future where you have asked yourself the fundamental questions about your business that you just never could have answered before. And it's a future where you've used AI and the latest technologies to give you unique insights and data. And that data and unique insight is the first law of go-to-market physics. It helps you be different from your competitors in order to win. It helps you find that unique advantage that you know that no one else does. And you take that unique insight and you launch growth campaigns quickly with AI, fueled by what you've learned, and use creativity in your personal connection to your customers until you hit the next barrier, which is that no creative advantage will last forever. Because you'll end up saturating any channel, others will catch on, you'll hit the asymptote just like you do in physics. So you keep experimenting, you keep iterating, and you keep innovating to stay ahead, all because of the third law. Because you need to constantly evolve your strategy and adopt tools that help you to adapt way faster. Now, if you've noticed, I haven't given you the one superpower GTM tactic that's going to solve all your problems. Because the truth is, there isn't one. The truth is that AI is going to get better, the tools are going to get better, and the laws of go-to-market physics tell us that even if you have the most creative idea, it won't last forever. So in this day and age, you just can't afford to be wedded to one tool, one workflow, or one organizational approach. What you need is to invest in your ability to cultivate obsession. You need to make sure you're asking the right questions, you're moving fast and experimenting, you're using tools to continually find the best signals that will actually resonate with your customers. You need to prepare for multiple futures. That's what it takes to win in today's market. People always ask me, what does Clay do? The answer to that is the same as the answer to this question, which is, what do you do? Who are you selling to? You know what that looks like when it happens, when you've actually found a customer who really needs your product at the burning moment when they have it. My dream is that using your own unique insight into what makes your business work, we can help you find those moments happen again and again. Thank you.